Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. We are up to question 50 to 54 of Acer's pink booklet. So let's get into it. Question 50. The standard of beyond reasonable doubt is best described as. So in this passage we're introduced to three standards of proofs. The first is beyond a reasonable doubt, and that's what the prosecution has to prove in a criminal case. I'm sure you've all heard it before in media. This person has to be convicted of murder beyond a reasonable doubt. If there is any doubt in the jury's mind, any reasonable doubt in the jury's mind, then that the prosecution has not proved that case, and therefore that person is found not guilty. And the reason that the standard of proof is so incredibly high for criminal cases is because often these guilty verdicts come with maybe a life sentence, or if you're in America, the death penalty. So if you're going to put somebody in jail for life, you better be 100% convinced that that person is guilty, or maybe 99.99999% convinced, which is why the standard of proof is so high. Whereas you have civil cases where the standard is the balance of probabilities. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's just when we weigh up, did they do it, did they not? If it's 90% yes, I think they're guilty, 10% I don't think they're guilty, then on the balance of probabilities you find guilty. And then for tribunals, the standard of proof is one of reasonable satisfaction. So are you just satisfied with the evidence and the argument that is presented? There are very, very different standards depending on the situation. So for question 50, the standard of beyond reasonable doubt is best described as. So is it higher or lower than reasonable satisfaction and balance of probabilities? Well, hopefully, again, if you watch movies or Brooklyn Nine-Nine, CSI, SVU, you'll probably get the answer straight away, which is B, that beyond a reasonable doubt is higher than both reasonable satisfaction and the balance of probabilities. And even just the phrases themselves, beyond a reasonable doubt versus satisfaction, it's very clear that beyond a reasonable doubt is higher, the standard of proof is higher than the balance of probabilities. But the actual evidence that we can point to in the passage comes from line 20, 19 and 20, where it says, if this evidence amounts to more than a possibility, then causation can be found proved on the balance of probabilities or even higher. Proved on the balance of probabilities or even higher. So look at that sentence and just think logically. You can either prove it on probabilities or higher, which means that the balance of probabilities, if there's three options, it's not one, it could be two, and it could be three, because you have to prove it on the balance of probabilities or higher. So if there's something higher than the balance of probabilities by the very definition and logic, we know probabilities isn't number one, which means that we can rule out some of the answer options. And I believe reasonable satisfaction would be number 3, balance probabilities number 2, and beyond a reasonable doubt number 1. Okay, question 51. So we are given a decision by one of the Chief Justices of New South Wales in this case. And we are asked, why is it important? So what I want you to do is actually take a look at the answer options first. And this is a great example of using the answer options to help you. So there are two things that we need to figure out in the answers. The first is, can possibility, evidence of possibility, is that proof? Or is the evidence of possibility not proof? That's the first thing we need to figure out. The second thing we need to figure out is, what is the relationship between circumstantial evidence and causation? Can circumstantial evidence lead to causation, or are they two completely different things? That's all we need to do. And this is why I like to break down the answer options, because it turns quite a complex question into something that's actually super duper easy. Let's go. So this Chief Justice says, evidence of possibility, including epidemiological studies, should be regarded as circumstantial evidence. So evidence of possibility should be regarded as circumstantial evidence, which may alone or in combination with other evidence establish causation. So evidence of possibility is circumstantial evidence which could be causation. I have capitalized could be causation because it's not guaranteed causation. It could be. If we take the circumstantial evidence and a bunch of other things and some other evidence, then maybe we get causation, but we don't know. Okay? So it could be causation, and that's very important for a later question. And this is where Ace is trying to see, are you reading the words very, very closely? So the second one, go to line 19. If this evidence amounts to more than a possibility, then causation can be found, proved on the balance of probabilities or even higher. So if the evidence is greater than simply possibility, then causation can be found. So that's what we are told. So let's go to the answer options. A, implies that possibility can be taken as proof. Well, yes, because as we've just seen, evidence of possibility is circumstantial, and then it could be causation, basically proof. So possibility can be taken as proof, but only if the evidence is greater than the evidence of possibility, and also if the circumstantial evidence can be then causation. And that's why it's really important. Look at the answer option A, implies that possibility can be taken. Can be taken. Yes, it can be taken if all these other criteria are met. If the answer option said possibility is proof, that would be wrong because that is too much of an absolute. So again, this is Acer really testing, have you read those little words? B, implies that possibility cannot be taken as proof. Nope, because as we've just seen, possibility, if the evidence is greater than possibility, it can be taken as proof. And that's another example. Ace has put in a cannot be. That's an absolute, and that is wrong. Distinguishes circumstantial evidence from causation. So this is true. They do distinguish circumstantial evidence here from causation, but it's not important. I mean, it's important, but it's not the main reason it's important. And this is the maybe but almost quite, but not quite answer option. And then D implies that causation requires circumstantial evidence. That is also wrong because of the phrasing, which may alone or in combination with other evidence establish causation. So yes, circumstantial evidence could lead to causation, but other things could as well. We just don't know what they are. Its causation does not require circumstantial evidence, and again, the word require is a very strong, finite word. Generally, that is the wrong answer. So that is answer option A. 52. The writer makes the point that scientific uncertainty, either A, results in legal uncertainty, does not prevent legal uncertainty, is the same as legal uncertainty, and is different from legal uncertainty. So basically what we have to do here is find the relationship between scientific uncertainty and legal uncertainty. Again, use the answers to help you. So let's just quickly discuss this. Scientific uncertainty. So decision makers, this is line 20, so decision makers can find causation proof to this standard when there is scientific uncertainty or significant scientific dispute about the cause of a disease. So if you study research, and when you study medicine or dentistry, you'll encounter this a lot, there is a whole lot of uncertainty in science. There's a whole lot of stuff that we do not know for certain, and we make assumptions and guesses about all the time. If you hate uncertainty, then science is not the career path for you because there is so much uncertainty that you have to deal with. There's also uncertainty in the legal system. For example, you've got a person on trial and you don't know if they are guilty or not. That's exactly why you go to trial. Now let's say after the trial, the jury comes back and they find him guilty. That question, that uncertainty about that person is no longer uncertainty because the jury has decided, yes, this person is guilty. That is the legal certainty. Now, of course, that can be appealed, etc., etc. But in the eyes of the law, again, saying this as somebody who has not studied law, so, please be kind, law students in the comments. Basically, in the eyes of the law, that case is closed. It is settled. That is now a legal certainty. It may not be actually true. Maybe the jury got it wrong and they convicted someone for guilty when they were actually innocent. But in the eyes of the law, that is now certainty. So, with that all said, option A, scientific uncertainty results in legal uncertainty. No, because the court has to make a decision about this scientific uncertainty. The scientific uncertainty in this situation is the asbestos and the cause of the disease. We don't know scientifically whether or not that's actually factual. It's not like, Newton's laws or Einstein's theorems where we pretty much know for certain, like, that is proven. We don't know. But the court has to make a decision. So there is no legal uncertainty because the court or the tribunal makes that decision. They decide either yes or no. That is the certainty. So B is the correct answer. Scientific uncertainty does not prevent legal uncertainty because, again, the court makes the decision. At the end of the day, they have to come back yes or no. That is the decision. That is certainty. C is the same as legal uncertainty. Nope, because they meet completely different standards. Remember, in a tribunal, you just have to be convinced to a reasonable satisfaction, and that gives you legal certainty. In science, you need I don't know, do we ever have a certainty in science? I don't know. Sorry, and then is different from legal uncertainty. This is true. Scientific uncertainty and legal uncertainty are very different, but it's not really the point. So again, we've got another almost but not quite answer. 53. The writer suggests that the decision-making process in a tribunal is line 23. Let's go there. The decision-making process in a tribunal is limited by its very nature. So a tribunal has to make a decision at the end of the day. They have to either come back saying yes or no, guilty or not guilty. They have to make a decision. So their ambition is to find the truth. But at the end of the day, they need to make that decision. And maybe they don't have all day or all year or 20 years for more studies to be done and more proof to come out to, find the truth with a capital T. They need to make a decision, they need to make a call, and that's why they are constrained by the need for decisions. So that is why the answer is B. So we'll go through the other ones. A, constrained by inevitable uncertainty. Not really, again, because they have to make that call. They have to make that legal certainty. C, concerned with results rather than causes. Kind of, but no, not really. D, concerned with concrete rather than abstract truth. Not really mentioned. Obviously, they would rather have concrete truth, but again, they have to make a decision. 54. The writer sees the legal decision-making process as limited by its very nature because it is. And this is a very similar question to 53. So A, not concerned with the truth. This is false because the legal decision-making process is obviously concerned with truth. They want to make the correct decision based on truthful facts. But that is not the limited nature of the decision-making process. And you can go to this line in the passage to find the actual evidence for it. Limited to matters of fact. It's limited in the fact-finding process, but that process also will include uncertainty, as we discussed before. C, not limited to matters of fact. No, again, it's limited in the fact-finding process. So that leaves D, making decisions in uncertainty. So again, let's just review. A tribunal or a court has to make a decision. Every court, even up to like the US Supreme Court, they eventually have to make a decision. They have to make a call. And even though there is probably a whole lot of uncertainty, a whole lot of facts that aren't found, and yes, they could wait around 20 years and for more evidence to come forward, they have to make a decision. And that is the very nature of the system. And so as a result, you have to start making decisions in uncertainty. Think about it this way. You're sitting Gamsat and you're sitting section 1 and you've narrowed your answer options down to 2, A and D, and you just don't know. You could argue A, you could argue D, you're just really, really uncertain. Hopefully you're not. After watching all of my videos, I will give you tips how to actually make a proper decision, but you just don't know. But at the end of the day, you have to pick an answer and move on. That's kind of the same thing. You are making a decision in uncertainty in the Gamsat, and that's what the legal system has to do as well. Okay, sorry, that went on for a bit long and got a bit rambly. Okay, next video, questions 55 to 57.